Well, we've made it. Let's do it live. Final training camp practice of 2024. Mirlibo, the Great Z. It's all come down to this, my friend. It's probably a short little journey for you. You had that first vacation off the gate after late July. You got a nice little vacation in the mountains of West Virginia, and now a couple of practices. How many have we done? 3 or 4? How many practices you been to? 3 or 4?
I'm just wondering if you'll fit underneath the sandbox.
You've got Gibbe on my side. That's what you've done.
Yeah.
That's how you know it's bad. If Gibbe's jumping to my
This
defense.
is 4, by the way, I counted it, 4 weeks. 4 weeks from tomorrow. It's only been 4 weeks.
Yeah, but it's normally
it feels like 12.
It feels like 6 months, honestly, fellas. And I didn't do all the stuff you did, but it just feels like 6 months.
It's been going on forever.
Training camp.
I'm excited for training camp to be over, though, because
Oh, you don't say.
this is a team that's all about the regular season, and the fact that training camp is over means we're getting closer to games that actually matter and things, that will have a bearing on whether or not this year is a success or not.
Yeah, it's the other thing that I think is hard, and I sense it even from Browns fans too. The other thing that's a little bit hard is that, with a few exceptions, and obviously, Nick Chubb was here healthy last year in camp, and Jack Conklin was healthy in camp, and Jed Wills was healthy in camp, and so there's some things here or there. But in terms of the feeling of camp, it's the same story.
Yep.
It's a really good roster. Right?
Yeah, it's a great
Offensively,
roster.
can this offense, led by Deshaun Watson, be dangerous?
Yes.
Can it be clutch on third downs? Can
I hope so.
they get in the red zone and get 6 instead of 3? That's the difference between you and the great teams.
Yep.
It's just kind of that simple. So you can go to 4 weeks worth of camp practices, and we can talk about little things here or there, but this is a big picture franchise now. And so you're viewing things in an entirely different prism than you were. Go back to 18 when I first got here, and Baker, and when was he going to play, and the excitement around all of that. We haven't had that in a very long time. The other part of it is we haven't had a first-round pick in 3 years.
Yep.
So you're not getting to unveil somebody in that sense.
Correct.
So your team is your team. There aren't many spots up for grabs. That's a good thing. And now it's just about playing the games that matter. That's where we're at.
And it's a good veteran-laden team. You
Yeah.
have a lot of guys with a lot of experience on both sides of the ball, guys that are certainly ready to help this football team achieve those goals. And the reality is, you said, it's a big-picture team. It's a big expectation team. It's a big goal team. And that's, as you always say, the privilege of expectations. They've got expectations,
Yeah.
right? And you've got to, be the team that is able to do the things you talked about, to be able to come through in the clutch. And yes, practice makes perfect, and all of that is very, very true, but the reality is all that's going to matter is what happens when it matters. What happens when you have that third down that you need to convert? Do you convert it or do you not? And this team, I feel like, has all the talent in the world to do anything. This team can win the Super Bowl. There's no doubt in my mind that the talent is here to do that. And so it's going to be about, can they do it? And coming and getting a look at this team is certainly fun. And we see the stands are packed again today here out at the Cross Country Mortgage campus in Berea. This is, for some fans, this is their best chance of getting a nice touch point with some of the Cleveland Browns players. And I thought yesterday was incredible, watching. It was our Salute to Service Day.
Yeah.
MJ Emerson, who I couldn't love anymore, probably was there for, 40 minutes? I mean, he after practice, every single service member that came here got a one-on-one moment with MJ Emerson.
That's awesome.
And he was not the only one. There were many, many players. And I think it's part of that culture that's being built here. And that's why you have the belief that this team can be the team that comes through. Is Ethan Posick, first offensive player out? They look like they're in pads today.
Looks like it. Full pads, yeah.
How
Ready
about
to
it?
go. Ready to go.
Well, how about it?
Yeah, that's it. So, get through this last week, get healthy to
Yep.
that end. I think it was Petrak had reported that he saw Conklin doing a little bit of some one-on-one movements and stuff before practice started with some
Yep.
trainers. I wasn't out here. I didn't see it at that time.
Yeah, it was during the media availability. Yeah, he was out here moving and looked good. And hopefully that's a sign that, he'll be out. Jed Wills was out here, I think, right now going through the paces as well. So
Okay.
hopefully it is a sign that they are back. If they were both back next week, that's 2 weeks to
there's
get
Jed.
ready.
Yeah, I see
And
Jed
you'd feel
running
pretty-
over there. That's
you'd-
him, right?
Yeah, that's
Running?
Jed Wills.
Yeah.
Yep. Still
All
got
right.
kind of a wrap on that right leg with surgically repaired right knee.
Decent little jog, though. No, it doesn't
Yeah.
look like a hitch in the giddy up. Looks like he's running relatively smoothly.
Yes, I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, which hopefully is a good sign because we need these guys, and it's probably going to take all of them. It's going to take Jed. It's going to take Jack at some point. You know, I think if history tells us anything, it's very difficult to play 17 consecutive games with the same 5 offensive linemen. That just doesn't really happen in the National Football League anymore. So you're going to need all of these guys. And, you know, you're going to need Jermaine Ifedi, who is getting valuable reps and likely will get very valuable reps in Seattle, where he was back in 2016. They made him a first-round draft pick out of Texas A&M. So, yeah, you got to get healthy. To your point, I think some of the guys are coming back. I don't know, Gibbe, did Hicks end up speaking today?
He did not.
He did not.
Nope,
Interesting.
I did not hear from him.
Okay. Because you want to get him out there. You want to get – and, look, I really look at next week. I'll look at next week's practice roster as 85 to 90% of the importance, and then obviously you need everybody there that final week. But if next week sees a significant number of returns, I totally get it because these are still training camp practices. Now there is more game planning and card situations, which we saw in those walkthroughs, and based on just kind of looking at them, those are not Seattle Seahawks focused because Seattle plays a 5-man front, and those were all 4-man fronts, which Dallas plays. You want them for that type of work, and I think next week is when practice becomes 100% that.
It is, and I think it also illustrates just how long this preseason is because as you were going through that and you're thinking about next week's practice report, in the old days, and correct me if I'm wrong, you'd play a preseason finale on Thursday, the whole league would, and then you would play a week from Sunday.
You'd have 10 days off.
You'd have 10 days off. And some teams have less because you play on Thursday and you'd have a week off and then you'd go. So remember that for us now, we will play – I mean, for the Bengals, they're done tomorrow. And then they don't play for 2 weeks.
Yep.
And so that's kind of the reality of that. We get basically that kind of the full 2 weeks off, sort of. But you're flying back in the middle of the night, so it's not exactly the same. Like you guys are going to get back 8, 9 o'clock in the morning, and then you're gonna play a week from that Sunday. But this situation is just so different than the one that we've had previously in the league, where you would do it. And so I think again it illustrates. I've sensed this around the league, not just us talking about already being here 4 weeks or any of it, but just talking to various people around the league in the morning as I've kind of made my way around the league. There's a consistent this is too long. This preseason is too long.
Yes.
It's way more ramp up than anyone needs.
That's what it is. And you hit the nail on the head there. You have had, with the Greenbrier, it was really all ramp up.
Right, a week.
A week of it.
Of ramp up, yeah.
And so, and like I said, because we were at the Greenbrier, that's why these would be normally closed and we'd be into the full normal week. So it has been longer in the sense of that because of the Greenbrier. It is a very long preseason. I think they need to get down to 2 games. 18 games is fine. They're going to extend the back end of the season as opposed to move it up. But I think if you have that, it allows you maybe to shorten a little bit of what you're doing in the pre-part of it.
Well, college football starts practicing a full week later and starts playing a full week earlier.
Of actual games.
Yeah. Like there's week 0 this week in college football. There's college football games this weekend.
Isn't it in Ireland?
Yeah, that's one of them, Florida State and Georgia Tech. But
how
my
did
beloved
that come to be? You're way more dialed
Aer
into
Lingus, which is the airline.
Lingus,
That's Aer Lingus, which is out of here. Be careful when you say that. That operation, they put the teams in Dublin and they use it as a tourist push.
Yep.
So they've used Notre Dame a lot for this, which obviously makes all the sense in the world. But now they're using Georgia Tech and they're using Florida State as it's a kind of using as a travel destination tourist thing. That's not the only game. There's like 6 or 7 games, but that's that one's at noon.
Speaking of the Golden Domers, little shakeup.
What did I miss?
Oh, they've changed their TV play-by-play man.
Oh, yes, that. We'll get to that. We'll get to that part of it. Yeah, that was inevitable. That had to be inevitable. Your boy. No, so if college football can be ready to play, they can start August 1st and be ready to play this week, then professionals can certainly be ready to play in less time. And by the way, there's not that much teaching that's going on. These guys were just here the second week of June for all the minicamp, mandatory minicamp, all of it. Like, the idea that you need to practice for this long leading into this, I think it just leads to more injuries.
Yep.
I think it leads to guys just kind of wearing out. You could cut it by a week very simply. You could start August 1st, just give everybody that last week of July back, start August 1st, get rid of one preseason game, and away you go. And
Agreed.
you're set. It's so long to get to this point around the league. So that's kind of it. In terms of the full contact part of this, I think it'll be interesting to see who comes out here on the final day of training camp.
Yeah, I'm very interested to see that as well, and get an idea of, did we get anybody back today? Has Buki Watson turned the corner? Has Jordan Hicks turned the corner? Has David Bell turned the corner? DeAnthony Bell, Ronnie Hickman, is Denzel ready to be out here? Those are the things that you're looking at, and I would say the good news to Cleveland Browns fans is that, this is one portion of the work of today, and as I've said before, the other portion, the walkthroughs and the meetings and all of that, I think that there's been the kind of participation you're looking for when getting ready for the season. So I think a lot of guys are very, very close. I think they're just being very judicious with when they bring them to this venue.
Yeah. This article of clothing I'm wearing, they did this 2 years in a row. They did this in 18 and 19.
It's a good one.
These are the good ones. They
Yeah,
have
it's a good
another
one.
gray one that
That is
Six
my
wore all the
favorite
time.
one.
Yeah, these were great.
Yeah.
The fit was nice.
Yep.
You get a little
Yeah,
bit of
sleeve.
elasticism
Yep,
here.
yep.
It's light. It does its job. I feel like they haven't been
Venting,
able
nice venting
like that
here.
venting.
Yeah.
Yeah. Even a side vent.
Yeah, you can.
Who could turn on a side
unzip
vent
it if you want.
Yeah. No, they don't
I thought
make
about
these
wearing
guys
that today.
anymore.
That's funny. I thought about wearing that.
Yeah, I hadn't seen it. It was in a coat closet that I hadn't seen in a while. I opened it and there it was. I'm like, God, I love that thing.
Yeah.
I got to run that back out.
Yeah, absolutely.
But Nike was at their peak in those days.
Yeah, they were
the
operating
one
at a
from the
high
year
level.
before was very good too.
The orange.
No, it was like this. It was
It had a gray,
It had a-
battleship gray, but it had an orange.
and it had the helmet right
I
here.
have that as
like an
well.
embroidered helmet.
I don't know if I have that one. I
You
definitely
do.
have this
You
one.
do. You and I had it. It was the one Six wore under his jersey for practice all the
Yeah,
time.
yeah, yeah.
He wore it all the time.
I like we had an orange one, then we had a white one.
I
The
don't
year
know,
of our
remember a
first
white
color
one.
rush, the white one was
never had
great.
a white. I don't
have
remember
the white
a
one.
white one.
I got no white.
I'll
No.
wear it in the winter.
There you go.
That's like
Yeah.
my Hoth outfit.
Speaking of the Hoff,
Speaking of,
out there living it, we got the invitation from Paul Brown whenever
I
we're
know.
ready to go. English breakfasts and all
Guinness.
the frivolity that can come
I'm into
run
it.
amok in England. I'm for it.
I'm not
for
not for it.
No, I'm not for it either. How was your night last night? Did you all right? Everything okay? You watch Hard Knocks?
I did.
Yeah.
What
What could the beef be? How could you have a beef?
I don't know
How that's being done.
First of all,
all 3 episodes, 80% Caleb Williams. Like, isn't that
you're
what you
getting
want to see?
all the stars, and then as Miss Kay said as we were watching last night, the secret sauce. Getting to focus on some of the younger guys. Bajent, I'm a big Bajent fan.
The
I
dad
really
is
have-
unbelievable. When the dad looks at the camera and goes, "Rule proposal, no running.
yeah.
Every play is a pass play." I just, oh my God, I've seen that guy every weekend in youth sports. That guy,
He is like
I love that guy.
He is like, to me, and I love spice, but let's call it. He's like a ghost pepper sauce. You just need a
Oh,
drip. You just
jeez.
need a drop because he is coming full throttle. I mean, just reliving the moment with Pelissero when he's like, but you can call me daddy on a national television broadcast when a guy's just out there trying to do what, do a little bit with you and give you a little airtime.
He's great.
It does not feel like he has anything other than full throttle at his disposal.
I don't think he's been governed
No.
at any point in probably 30 years.
Feels quite
I
unfettered.
think it's just footloose and fancy free.
Yeah.
Who tells him no?
Nobody.
Living his best life.
I love the fact that they dropped that he is the #1 left-handed arm wrestler of all time, and he's top 5 right-handed. That was in there. That made it in Hard Knocks.
How do you determine that?
Who knows? I also
So
thought I
great.
thought I heard a Siciliano call at one point from the college football days. I'm pretty sure it was a Big Ten game, so I think it was from
Oh, it could
Iowa.
have been. Doing Peacock?
It
Yeah,
was
he's
an
got
Iowa game,
Yeah.
and they were talking about the punter.
Yeah,
who-
that would make sense that was him. It was him.
Yeah, how come he did?
Yeah.
What? The punter didn't want to be. I thought that was a good nickname for him. He's like, yeah, I want nothing to do with it. Nothing Australian. He wanted nothing.
Nothing to do with that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Listen, you don't get to choose your nicknames
Not
No.
if you're a rookie.
No,
in general.
in general.
Like I think they just happen.
I also like that other backup quarterback they got, that Austin Reed case.
Yeah,
he's just like an entertaining, nice
And
kid.
it feels like that they're good with those three guys. They're good to go. Like they don't need a veteran. Like
Well, they got Rip in there, but I feel like he
He's
seems
gonna
like
be-
he's on the outside looking
he's
in.
done.
So-
Yeah, I think that's it. I think it is. I think it's done.
Why do people either love it or hate it this year?
So
I
the
mean,
ol-
there is nothing
I don't know
in
how
the
you
middle.
could hate it. I don't know
But
how you
there
could
there
hate
is a strong contingent.
The only person
That
I've seen
hate it.
hate it is Florio.
Oh no,
I haven't seen anybody else who hates it. I guess. Well, what are the beefs of the people who hate it?
they think it's boring.
Okay, then I
I'm like,
I think
what?
that's a you problem, because if you're getting that was just like last year whenever like if people were complaining about the Jets, like it was the Aaron Rodgers show. Like if I'm giving
Yeah.
you like this Williams kid to me looks like a mix of Rodgers, Mahomes,
All of it.
like I think he's got all of it. Like if he fails,
I'd be
I
very
would be
surprised.
floored. He
Yep.
just feels like he does everything right. This is the number one pick in the draft. This
Yeah.
is a franchise who has never had a true franchise quarterback. Yeah, save your Sid Luckman takes. I mean, it's been that long.
They've never had a
And-
quarterback throw for 4,000
No,
yards in
like,
their
come
franchise's
on.
history.
And so all of a sudden, this monster brand, this huge market, which they have all to themselves, and rest assured, Chicago is a Bears town first and foremost.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden, like they got like maybe a dude, and not only they have a dude, they got a dude set up because of what they've done the last few years with trades, to where like he's coming into probably the best position a number one overall draft pick has been in the history of the NFL. I can't think of one that walked into a better spot.
No.
Number one
Keenan
overall.
Allen,
Andrew
DJ
Luck's
Moore,
spot was
and Rome
pretty good.
Odunze?
Yeah,
I don't think it
Luck's
was that
spot was
good.
pretty good. It wasn't that good, but it was
No.
pretty good because the only reason they were bad is because Manning got hurt.
Right.
So they had like a quality
Curtis
roster.
Painter. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think of even cross sports like Tim Duncan coming into the Spurs only because Robinson was hurt, and so they had them both. There's a few of them, but like
Yeah.
it seems ready-made. If you're not interested in that, then I don't think you like football.
You certainly don't like that. If there was one thing that I would nitpick about yesterday's episode, because you even got some insight into the Judon trade, and I would have liked to have gotten to see the phone call when they were told, because the reports are that they offered the third, which we saw on the show. Atlanta did as well, but then they just kind of jumped to him taking Atlanta, and it was Judon. The Patriots gave Judon the option. I would have liked to have seen that phone call that they get saying, "Hey,
He's going
to Atlanta."
Yeah.
I just thought that would be
That would
interesting
be really
to hear that.
fascinating.
And
Yeah. Well, if you would have done the Giants one, they would have got that.
Giants one. What?
And then the guy would have been probably in tears,
He'd be like,
begging,
"What?
What can I give you? How do we mess this up?" Like
Yeah.
that's if it was the Giants one, you would have got it. This one is a little bit guarded. One of the things that I read this morning about it is there is no cursing in it, which I've enjoyed a great deal because I watched The Boys.
Yep.
And apparently that was in the McCaskies asked that there not be. The ownership asked that there not be any cussing or any cursing. So maybe it's something that's a point of emphasis in the building.
Yeah.
To where they just try to avoid it because ownership has asked for it. Joel Bitonio making his way out. The other thing that was really wild to me, this is Hallis family owned.
Yep.
Okay, so the McCaskies have it now. Virginia McCaskey's in her mid-90s and it's George Hallis's daughter, like all of it. Go ahead.
I think we got a kid out here with James Prochet, who's out of the line, who's going to try to catch this punt by Corey
you
Bojorquez.
do.
I think he's at. Yeah. Prochet caught it. That was good.
Yeah.
That was his one
I
shot.
wonder
Now
who
he's
called
back.
him over there.
I don't know. That was nice of Prochet to give him an opportunity, but that was a tough ball to catch there. Wind was playing tricks on him.
I think everybody's looking like, who let that? Is that a protocol? Should that kid have signed a release?
Frayne had a guy on the roof.
Yeah.
Ready to take it out. I don't know that you want to make a habit out of that. Probably
No.
But they didn't let him catch it, so that was smart of
Well,
Prochet.
I think he wanted to have I don't think he judged that. I think it was a poor judging of the flight path. But
it
like I
would
said,
be
it was a tough
too for a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
To track,
especially
a punt
when he didn't
from
hit that
down
one.
there, right.
He didn't hit it clean, so
No.
it was a knuckler.
Okay, so back to Bears.
Yes, back to Bears.
So here they are. We're at a table, and we're in the middle of stadium stuff now. So they're at a table, and they're deciding what type of chairs to put in the
that was
on-field
cool.
suites. Okay, so what type of chairs are we going to put in the on-field suites? So you can either do like seat backs, like the traditional chairs, but then one lady says, well, maybe we should do high tops. And like that, because the way I understood it was a field level suite is the way I understood it.
I don't know if it's a field. It was definitely a suite, but I'm not sure.
It was lower, though, I think, was the kind of the point of it. I'm not sure. But anyway, So they're kind of talking about it, and they look to a gentleman for approval, and that gentleman is Kevin Warren.
Yeah, he's in a lot of scenes, by the way. He's in every scene when they're talking trades, when they're talking contracts. He's in all of them.
That's your boy.
Yeah.
And I just think to myself, like, the idea that that guy, based on – now, he may have done a tremendous job at the Minnesota Vikings. I have no point of reference on that. But his absolute failure in leadership of the Big Ten Conference, where he just would disappear for 8 months at a time, like in COVID.
Yep.
Like, you didn't hear from him. He basically punted on the season and then left. And then Fields and a bunch of other guys kind of said, hey, no, we want to play. And Ohio said, I think we're going to play. 1 week after he said we're done, the SEC said, we're going to play. We're going to play at the end of October. We're going to play 10 straight weeks, and we're going to get it done. And in the meantime, like, you never heard from him. And the idea that that dude is now in charge of what appears to be every important decision with the Chicago Bears. And what are the qualifications? The idea that there was, from what I could tell, ownership was not represented in that meeting.
No,
He was ownership.
He was there for
He's the proxy.
I said again, for DJ Moore.
Yeah.
For that contract, he was there when they were talking Judon. Ryan Pace was kind of selling him on why we should trade for Judon.
It's like he was owner.
Yeah, it was very interesting, and I do think came with the right conclusion that you'd like to have people are there to see the game. You want to be able to have seats to watch the game. I thought that was the right
No, I think the answer was the right answer. But I would think you'd have to – the only thing I could think of, and I wasn't covering this team at that time, but I did wonder if that's what it was like when Holmgren was here, where he was kind of – do you remember that, Gibby? Like, obviously you remember Holmgren being here. You weren't working with the organization at that time. But was it a situation where he was the de facto owner? Like, face of the franchise, everything? Like, every big decision I make?
I think it's almost akin to when the Haslams first took over
I was
here.
Gonna say
and Joe Banner
and Lombardi.
Well, not Banner was every decision because
Yes.
it was football and also business. So I think it was more like that when Joe Banner was kind of
okay,
and he was basically installed here by the league to help new ownership understand.
I definitely
what's
think
going on.
Holmgren was supposed to do that. And Holmgren
He
had
was just
no
like,
interest in.
I really don't want to be here all the time.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I like
he
the
didn't want to be
paycheck.
in those meetings.
I'm
It's
not
like, I don't
doing
care
any
where
of
they
this.
sit.
Yeah. So okay. So maybe that's it. That's a weak spot for me in terms of what was going on with the franchise.
Amari
at that time.
Cooper practicing today. Good to see in pads.
Boy, you like that chrome orange backplate.
Yeah, it's great. Noah Ronnie Hickman. He's one of the ones I've seen come out here, still not ready to go. No Alex Wright
Alex
still.
Wright.
I wonder how they get those jerseys to tuck underneath that backplate like that.
I think they tuck them into the shoulder pads.
But they must. Do you know how they do it, Jordan? How do they do it? Get Jordan on the mic. This is a man who played. It's a man who played, for crying out loud.
So it's a bit of like rolling the jersey and tucking it up inside of the shoulder pads in a sense.
How do you get it to stay?
Honestly, it's all in your body physique. If your body is pretty wide enough, it'll just stay there the entire time.
My seventh grader's not going to have the body physique to get it to stay there.
I mean,
he asked me, he's like, Dad, how do they get those to stay up? I can't get my jersey to stay up. And that's it.
Yeah, a lot of the body weight, and not to mention how tight the pads are. You could tuck it right up under those pads. It'll never move.
Never move.
Yeah.
Did you wear a backplate?
I did.
course
I had
you
a
did.
few, actually.
Of course you did.
I'm a man of wanting to look good and play
That's
good.
right. That's right. Yeah, you have to. Yeah, I think there's something to that. We finally figured out Jerry Judy's got the high scrunch socks. We finally figured that out and got that sorted out where you cut the foot off the sock and then you layer them that way.
them
Yeah.
up. Yeah.
Also, you could always buy soccer socks as well. Those come that high.
Well, now there's a company called Nextstrand that you
Yeah.
can just order scrunch socks. So now that made it easier. But
That
when
takes
they were
away the
little,
fun of it.
When they were little, I would always cut the socks and then give them that look, which is always a crisp look, is to wear that. Jameis comes sauntering out.
Yeah, there's Greg
Greg
Newsome still
Newsome.
not practicing, but I
Nope.
think good chance
Looks-
we'll see him soon.
When Coach said yesterday I would have all of our starters plan to play, how did you interpret that?
That he will have most of his starters playing, and I don't think they've made final determinations yet on exactly what that looks like. I do think, as we have looked at the weather report, it is not supposed to be nice. It's supposed to be raining
Can't
quite
wait.
a bit in
Rain
Seattle.
in the 60s.
Oh, jeez.
So-
Yep.
There's Chief. Gosh, he's so popular. God
As
bless
he should be. He's also still
I
not
didn't say in a
practicing.
way that he shouldn't be. I'm just
No.
saying he really is. He's kind of like the offensive answer to Miles,
Yes, I think that he has filled
the Nick Chubb.
void. Yes, I
Yeah.
think that's exactly right. And Chief is tremendous human, tremendous leader. He's a tremendous football player. He's done a great job. I think about a kid who was drafted when he was 20 years old,
Yeah.
and some of the ups and downs he's had, and now he's one of the truly 3 best overall tight ends in the National Football League, and it's awesome.
It's been a great story.
Yeah.
Luminaries making their way
Oh,
out.
yeah.
Good to see. Nice stride on that.
You
Like
love
to
when
see
it's shorts and hoodie weather. Is such a great time.
It's such a good time. I mean,
Like yesterday, I could have been happier. Look at Tequila
Oh!
Fila. Our guy.
look at him.
Yes.
Yes. The great Tequila
Tequila
Fila.
Fila.
He just got a new pad.
A new crib.
Yeah.
Oh, God. Bretnall?
I mean,
Why
close.
not? Why not?
Tremont. Little
Oh,
Tremont
there you
run.
go.
I was
Get-
like,
oh,
boy,
him-
you're gonna
Him
Is it-
hopscotching around there?
you're
Is
gonna
it-
thrive.
Is it tequila solo or tequila?
Tequila solo
Okay.
Well,
for now.
Okay.
yeah, I like the idea of him stretching his wings there.
For now.
That area is not ready
The
for
race
him.
is on between him and Connor with a K. I feel like.
Oh yeah.
Connor with a
Both-
K, I think, is leading that race if it is a race.
I did.
Oh, I think
Tequila's
it-
just
I-
on a. It is a race.
I think it's
He was
a
just
race.
on vacay. It was a big deal.
All it is for me is making them uncomfortable, and
Yeah.
that's. I'm thriving.
Let's put that on the final words. All it is for me is making. Here lie Jason Gibbs. All it is for me is making them uncomfortable.
Yeah. The list of
There it
people
is.
that applies to is everybody.
Just
Every
If you're reading this,
single
he's talking about you.
person.
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going, oh yeah,
Yeah.
that makes
Yeah,
sense.
yeah.
Yeah,
I
that's
got it.
Especially
right.
the
That's
clown
right.
on X.
I got
That's
it.
right.
I see you, clown.
The clown. You're always coming for the clown.
Clown.
I see you,
Clown
clown.
is
I love
Clown.
the clown is
I see it.
an elite tweeter.
you. He is.
He's
He-
very good.
I get it. I am amused.
Yeah, very good stuff there.
He really has a good understanding of your psyche.
Steelers picked up an injury. Nate Herbig out for the season due to a torn rotator cuff. He's a projected starter at center. Second-round pick Zach Frazier out of West Virginia will step in there.
They drafted all offensive linemen, so that's why you do those things.
One of them's got a hit.
Second round pick you expect. And isn't Herbig's brother also on that team and having a nice camp? Pass rusher?
Sure.
Is that right? Nate?
I don't know. I haven't looked into
Yeah.
it. I
I
believe
don't
you.
They
know.
like
they
him.
suck. I don't
haven't
care.
looked- I am curious about their quarterback plan. And Jordan and I were talking. He was playing them in the Madden, and I'm kind of with him. It feels like, I mean, you hate to ever doubt them, but it does feel like that this could finally be the year they go 8-9. Mr. Zagura.
If they were the Carolina Panthers, if that's just the name of their franchise with their roster and everything else that they're doing, they would be predicted to go 5-12.
Yeah, and that's the power of that brand and that culture and everything. The fact that they don't. I don't
They
know
don't
how
ever do
don't.
that. Right.
It doesn't make any dang sense to me that they don't
Yeah.
ever have that. I'm going to tell you something else. There are two teams. I'm at the point where been around the league with the exception of the two Norths, and I know both those divisions are pretty good. And the bottom of those divisions are pretty good. Carolina and New England are so much worse than the next worst teams.
I think that's right.
Everybody else. In
Has-
Carolina, you could say, look, first year for Drake May, but, like, God, I don't even know if I'd throw the kid out there.
For New England.
This is
Yeah.
not a – I'm sorry, for New England.
Yeah.
He played at Carolina, so that's where the slip.
Yeah.
They've got nothing, brother. Nothing. They don't have a weapon.
No.
I don't know if they can block it. They're, like, defensively, there's nothing.
I like Ramondre Stevenson, but that is by far their best offensive player.
Like, initially I was like, just put May in there. What do you got to lose? You may lose him forever if you play him with that roster. Like, have Jacoby, God bless him, great dude, have him go out there and take the hits because I don't know if I'd want to subject anybody to it.
I mean, if you had told somebody in the year 2014, right, that the Patriots sideline reporter would be doing an interview with a player on the Patriots, and he would say of a player who had departed the Patriots for Atlanta, the Atlanta Falcons, well, he's gone to a better place, you wouldn't have believed it. But yet here we are in the year 2024. That happened, and it's true. And it's true. No
I mean,
lies detected.
Brandon Ayuk said, no, they don't win enough.
They don't win enough. He would rather have come here
Yes.
than
Better
there.
chance to win.
By the way, that Ayuk thing, it's funny how it's all – I mean, he's obviously staying with the Niners at this point.
Yeah.
How close that was to being done in various places around the league, and yet how it never did get done. I wouldn't mind. I don't need a 30 for 30, but I could do a 10 for 10.
10 minutes
Yeah,
on
a 10 for 10.
The
Yeah.
phone call leading up to I think we have a deal to actually we don't to now
Yes.
he's staying here.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's a hell of a sliding doors moment. You wonder what was done. It also feels, I said this a couple of weeks ago on that, it feels like one of those things where Ayuk, yeah, I saw it. Ayuk said, this is what I want because I have to try and reset.
Yep.
The Niners said, well, we're not going to be anywhere near that. And they're like, fine, go play in your own sandbox. But the reality is that he always wanted to be there.
Yep.
He probably would have always taken less to be there, to be a part of a winning culture and
Sure.
great team, all those things. And they're probably more than willing to pay him that number.
Yeah.
To me, I think it's just one of those things where you said too much, too loud publicly, but then once everybody takes a step back, there's a lot of common ground.
But I agreed. I do think also, though, as you alluded to earlier, there was a time when he was not going to be a 49er.
Oh, no question. Yeah, but then once that door closes, then it's
Yes.
like, hey,
Yeah.
are we really that far apart? You don't really want to
No.
go to these
And
teams
we
that we've worked out deals with.
We don't really want to lose
We don't
you.
really want to lose you.
Yeah.
We'd like you to stick around. You mentioned New England.
Yeah.
Give me,
Okay.
in your sporting history,
Okay.
a franchise
Okay.
that fell farther, faster than they did from the time Brady went to Tampa.
So I would say, and I think this is probably closer than, if not the same, is the Niners. When the Niners transitioned out of the Steve Young days, it was a free fall.
So you did have
Because you had a free fall, then you had
Garcia.
But that wasn't. I don't think that was immediate in my.
Did they go Young, somebody else, then Garcia?
Hold on, I'll have to look. The Niners had, and even if you want to count the Garcia period, the Niners have had prior to the Kaepernick year, they had a very long, lean stretch.
Yeah, that I'd remember that well. That it took him a while. It took Harbaugh.
I'm going to get this for you.
He kind of settled it. I mean, Mike Singletary coached the 49ers.
Right. Jim Tomsula.
Jimmy Tomasula coached the San Francisco 49ers. Jim Tomsula. Love that guy. Yeah. There aren't many, though. I mean, you talk about 20 years of dominance, and then I think they made the playoffs once with Mac Jones but got obliterated, and now are just completely there's no talent. There's nothing there.
All right.
They need 4 great drafts.
All right. So you have the magical run, and that goes into basically 2002, and then you have a decade of just futility. So they were really, really good. Now there's some weird years. So they go in 98. They are. I'm gonna have to look at these rosters.
That's got to be
98. They're 12-4. They'd gone leading up to that. Here's their records from 83 on: 10-6, 15-1, 10-6, 10-5, 13-2, 10-6, 14-2, 14-2, 10-6, 14-2, 10-6, 13-3, 11-5, 12-4, 13-3, 12-4. And then,
not one single digit win season in that whole stretch.
And then they go the next 99-2000. They go 4-12, 6-10. And then I think they bring in Garcia. They have 2 good years. They go 12-4, 10-6. Then he's gone, and they go 7-9, 2-14, 4-12, 7-9, 5-11, 7-9, and don't have a winning record again until 2011.
So that's pretty close. But it's also, you had the transition from Montana to Young.
But that
you
was
didn't
seamless.
go like
That
right.
was
That's what I mean. But
seamless.
like
Yeah.
they went Brady to Cam Newton to Mac Jones to Drake May. Done.
So
like done.
it actually was Garcia in '99. Goes 4-12, then Garcia 6-10, then Garcia gets them back to 12-4, 10-6. Then we're in like a Tim Rattay 2-14 season.
Louisiana Tech.
Was that under Dennis Erickson? Dennis Erickson
was
I don't
the
remember he was
coach
the
there.
Niners coach for 2 years. Then Mike Nolan. All
Erickson
losing.
went from
Singletary
Miami to Seattle to Oregon State
Yeah.
to San Francisco.
So that period, though, 2003 to 2010 is, let's see, 2, 14, 22, 24.
Yeah, I was looking
30,
even at like the
32.
80 Squealers
34
with Bubby
games under
Brister,
500.
and it's still not awful. It's
Not
9
like
and
off a
7
cliff.
Or, yeah.
No, yeah.
I mean, they got off
6
a
and
cliff.
8.
They're like
Yeah, but the first
dynasty to
Let's see.
5 years later, just
Bupkis.
no place. Like, and it's really what it comes down to is Belichick, the GM, undid Belichick, the coach. Like,
Definitely.
he just totally let him down. Yeah, heck, the Niners drafted Alex Smith in the 05 draft. They had Alex Smith in 05, so like they had hope. You're pointing in the right direction at
For
least.
sure.
It was rough for him early though, really rough, and then
Yeah.
he got it going.
But they had so Brady leaves, and in 20 they go 7-9 with Cam Newton.
Yeah.
21, 10-7 make the playoffs with Mac Jones.
They
Then
get bombed
8-9
though by the Bills.
Yeah, 8-9,
Bills.
and then last year 4-13. It's just
And now it's the worst. I mean, I don't know which. I guess I'd rather be Carolina, maybe.
What about
I don't know. It's the worst. I think there's NBA examples of it. You know, like when Jordan left the Bulls, done. When LeBron left the Cavs the first time, done. Like fall off a cliff. There are NBA examples when a superstar leaves or is traded or retires. Usually, though, it's not a cliff. Now, you're right. They didn't. It wasn't a straight cliff. It was middling with Cam and Mac.
Sure.
But now it's cliff.
Yeah, you mentioned Bills, and I was like, oh, what happened? Like after the Jim Kelly? No, they were still like 10-6.
Yeah, you're in the
Like,
mix.
Pete
Yeah.
Carroll was there.
yeah.
Yeah. No, it's not very often
No.
that you go from model franchise to the worst.
Yeah.
And they definitely are that. All right, players doing some light calisthenics on the far field at
What
the
an
far
opener,
end.
by the way, by us.
There you go. It's a banger. It's a banger
That's
for the
right.
kids. It's a real one. Coming up next, we'll go around college football a little bit. You mentioned the Notre Dame changes and keep painting the pictures for you here in Berea. The final day of training camp for your Cleveland Browns in 2024. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Does your furry friend have what it takes to beat out the competition? Enter the Dog Dash Sweepstakes presented by Milkbone for your chance to have your pet compete in the annual halftime dog races. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/milkbone to enter and check out more at Milkbone at your local grocer and pet supplies store. We go around college football presented by Leaf Filter, official gutter guard of your Cleveland Browns. I mean, this just reading this straight. Yeah, no kidding. If he's up to it. I mean, Dan Hicks has been the voice of the U.S. Open. He's been the voice of the Olympics.
Olympic
He's been the voice
swimming.
of Notre Dame football, the NFL, all of it.
Yep.
Dan Hicks is replacing Jack Collinsworth
Good.
as voice of Notre Dame on NBC. So Jack Collinsworth got 1 year in that gig. And that's it. That's the list.
He is
It was
in their
a- it was a
press
rough
room. He will
listen.
do other games for NBC this year.
He's down the depth chart, though. He went from like NBC to Peacock guy.
Yeah.
So their Notre Dame crew will be Dan Hicks and the former Jason Garrett. That'll be their NBC crew, and then their Big Ten crew, which will be their primetime games. That will be Blackledge and Eagle.
Yep.
Noah Eagle will be that. They did a really good job. So that's the way that's going to work. And then some of those other, like Colt will be on some of those other. He's like Jack will be in that on those Peacock only games. Is the way all of that is going to shake out. We have the team out here getting loose on the far field as they're taking things in. College football starts this weekend, week 0.
It's wild.
They're off. They're off and running. About a half dozen games this week.
How do you feel about that? Because I always thought like this was the weekend for high school. Labor Day weekend, you get your college football.
Yeah.
And then the weekend after the NFL. I don't know if I like week 0.
There aren't too many teams playing, so it's not too bad.
Yeah.
Let me just do this for you because this is what college football is about to be. I'm going to do this. I'm going to try to do this off memory. I wrote all this down earlier in the week for something I do in the morning. College football is going to move the calendar up 1 week. So week 1 will be this weekend. So this will be week 1 of college football. Okay? So they're going to start practice a week earlier in July, just like the NFL currently does. They're going to start week 1 will be this week. They will work in 2 byes between now and the Saturday before Thanksgiving in a 12-game schedule. Okay? After that, there will be you're going to get rid of the conference championship games. Now, the reason that's going to happen is you're going to say, wait a second, television loves the conference championship games. But can I interest you in a 16-team playoff instead?
Yes.
You can.
Yes, because now you go 1 versus 16, 2 15s.
Yep.
Now you can build the bracket out. Everybody wins, right?
Lots of winning.
So the trade will be, no, you don't have the Big 10, Big 12 championship game, but what you do have is a round of playoffs. So you will have a bye week that will take place the week after Thanksgiving, which is currently the Ohio State-Michigan game. There will be a bye week there. That's when you'll play your Army-Navy game. The first round of the playoffs will come that first weekend in December. And then you will play in for consecutive weeks and then a bye around Christmas.
This is this year or next
No,
year?
no. This is what I think it's going to be in the future.
Got it.
So when Gibbe says, what do you think about week 0? Week 0 is about to be week 1.
Yep.
Because what college football cannot do is go head-to-head with the NFL in January.
Correct.
And right now they're having to because they did not get this schedule in place.
Got it.
So they're going to backlog all of it. They're going to play your conference championship. The national semifinals will be on New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. And then the first Saturday after that, like 10 days after, that's when they'll play the national championship.
They're going to
game.
play
And
that
they'll be
on a
out.
Saturday.
And I think they have to play it on a Saturday because that's when college football's played.
Yeah.
And I think all you do is you just make nice with the NFL and
Say,
you,
let us go
you
one
give me a Saturday prime time or a Saturday 3:30, whatever.
Well, and maybe
it
that-
can lead into NFL playoffs if you're on CBS, if you're on ESPN, like
and,
or whatever.
And if you're the NFL, that's why now it's a Monday Night Football wild card weekend.
Right. So that makes sense from a calendar standpoint. Nothing that college football is doing currently from a calendar standpoint makes sense.
So this year, just so I understand correctly, there still will be a Big Ten championship.
Yeah,
Okay.
conference well, and for the foreseeable future, 2 or
Okay.
3 years until those contracts wear out. But they are holding that 4 other spots in the playoff as, from the way I understand it, they've held those 4 other playoff spots from 12 to 16. They've held those back so that they can offer them up to get rid of the conference championships.
Got it.
So that's kind of the background of how all
So
of
the
that
12 is
works.
going to be 4 buys.
Yeah.
I like that.
I'm down on the buys because they make no sense. So are you aware of how they're doing it?
So in my mind, I'll tell you how I think it would happen,
Okay.
and then you tell me if that's how they're doing it or not. the 4 teams that would have made the Final Four, or if it was just a 4-team playoff, all get buys.
No. It is the 4 highest-ranked conference champions.
No.
What?
No, it's wrong.
It is the 4 highest-ranked conference champions. So if your next question is, wait a second, are you telling me that, let's say, 8-4 Iowa State upsets 11-1 Oklahoma State in the Big 12 championship game, Iowa State would get a bye in the first round and potentially a 1-loss Oregon or Ohio State or Georgia or Texas would have to play in a first-round game coming off of a loss in a conference championship game? Yes, would be the answer to that.
No, that's ridiculous.
That's
It should be
Of
what
course.
it should be what I said.
Of course.
If you were if this was a 4-team playoff,
These teams get these are
If
4
you
best
were-
teams in the country, they get a bye.
if you're in it,
Yeah.
you get a bye. So that means that there will never be 2 teams from the SEC getting buys, which it's likely that there should be 2 teams from the SEC and potentially 2 teams from the Big Ten all getting buys.
Here's the deal, though. This is where college football is really screwed up. There's the people that run the sport are still trying to treat it as if every school is the same.
They're not.
So they're acting like the ACC is the same as the Big Ten, or
It's
that
not.
the Big 12 is the same as the SEC. Those two things have nothing in common.
I'm going to make a
Nothing.
statement right now,
Go ahead.
and I want your reaction to it.
Yep.
I would,
Okay.
if presented it, and I can't, I work for an NFL team, but if you were able to
Yeah.
wager that the next 5, we'll call it next 5 college champions, winners of these playoffs,
Yeah.
will be, you can either have Big Ten and SEC only or the field, and all that means is some other non-Big
Yeah.
Ten or SEC team
Yeah.
has to win the national championship once in the next 5 years and I'd lose. I would take Big Ten and SEC.
Yeah, that would be the smart bet, and I think you could. The crazy thing is probably the best chance for it not to happen is in the next couple of years, and 6 years from now, when every team in those leagues is getting $90 million a year from TV, and the ACC and the Big 12 are getting 32.
And they might go away. They might just be the Big Ten and
The
the SEC.
gap is only going to get bigger and bigger and
Yeah.
bigger. So yes, it is very likely. I mean, you have Clemson and you have Florida State who have wrecked the party in the last 25 years. Florida State's got a couple of national titles in that time. Clemson's got 2 national titles in that time. But other than that,
But they don't feel like they're at the level of those teams that
Clemson got it there once and Florida State got it there once under Jimbo. What it takes is transformational quarterback, and it takes 2 or 3 recruiting classes that are in the top 5 of the country. So both Florida State did that once and Clemson did that once.
Here's what I would say. I don't think had Deshaun Watson and Jameis Winston played in this college era that they finished their careers at Clemson and Florida State.
I think that's probably true, and I think Trevor Lawrence never goes to Clemson.
Doesn't go to Clemson.
and that's where the problem is. Like
The
you
NIL,
you have to have
that's
great
why I
recruiting
said-
classes, but you got to have
But you have to
the
recruit
money.
them every year.
Yeah,
Right,
you
and
have to-
that's the other thing. See, the one thing I will say, though, is like if Deshaun would have played or Jameis would have played at Florida State or Clemson in an NIL era, I don't know that they would have made dramatically more playing at Texas.
I think
There would have been – it feels like the cap on an A-list college player is around $3 million. That's like kind of what it is.
Let me pose a question to you.
Go ahead.
Let's say that Jameis or Deshaun are in college right now.
Yeah.
The Buckeyes would have paid them whatever they wanted to be their quarterback.
So what you just outlined is what Drake May was – what attempted to happen last year with Drake May. Drake May had the season he had at Carolina. Everybody knew he was a first-round pick. Alabama said, "Come here, we're ready. We're coming out of Bryce Young. We need a dude. Come on in, come on down. We got money waiting for you." And he stayed because he was well taken care of at North Carolina. He's a legacy, all of those things. So we haven't had exactly what you described. That has not happened yet in college football. The guys who have entered the portal are either guys who, like Dylan Gabriel, who already has a master's degree from Oklahoma and
Sure.
an undergrad from Central Florida. Like, he couldn't play anymore at OU, so he went to Oregon. Like, there are some of those things that are still out there, but not much. So we haven't had what you just described, which is best young quarterback in the position in the market, highest bidder.
Yeah.
That hasn't happened yet. It will,
It will.
but it hasn't happened yet. But it's coming. It's absolutely coming. And it's a wild time in the sport. But it's funny. I hear people complaining about it, and it's more popular now than it's ever been.
Yeah.
people complain about the money. Oh, I don't like this kid making this. This kid, Ohio State paid $2 million for a safety. You know what? On a football Saturday, you're going to see Scarlet and Gray run out at the shoe, and you're going to go, yeah, I'm in.
That's my dad talking. That's my dad being like, they're supposed to be amateurs. Well, Dad, they bring a lot of value to the school.
Yeah.
I would just like a little regulation. It's not going to happen, but that's all.
Here's how it'll happen. It'll happen if the Big Ten and the SEC, who are now more comfortable talking than they've ever been, if they get together and say, hey, this is what the sport's going to look like going forward. That's when it'll happen.
There should be a cap. Every team's got $5 million in, or whatever, 10, 20, whatever an appropriate number is, but every team's got the same money to
Here's
spend.
the problem. They get in front of a court, and the court says, why are we capping this? They're students.
Right.
Why are we saying they can only make this much or they can't make anything? It's a free market. They're just student athletes.
They're just student athletes.
They're worth whatever anyone wants to pay them.
For the competitive balance
You want
of
the NFL
sport.
model. Yeah, you don't want the European soccer model, which is really what it is.
Yeah.
It's European soccer is what college football has become. It's
I
become that
also
model.
think that there should be something in it, and if you take NIL money from a school, you have to give them at least 2 years.
All of those things are things that would be collectively bargained. And you can't collectively bargain until you call them what they are. So as soon as you call them employees, then you can collectively bargain the heck out of it, which is what Saban and Urban and everybody wants.
Right.
Everybody wants an NFL model. They want, let's get a salary cap, let's get a contract, let's do all these things.
Yep.
But the people in charge, the old people who've been getting, $2 million a year running the NCAA over the last 20 years to do absolutely nothing, they are not interested in calling them what they are. So because they insist on student athletes and refuse to call them employees, this is what you get.
Yeah.
So right now it's lawless.
It's chaos.
If there was a salary cap and rules.
No, because he's like 70s. He's in his early 70s. So I think he's good anyway. But Urban is.
Yeah.
Urban is.
Urban is. If he
And
didn't have
Saban
to
might
deal
not
with
have
this,
left. If
he might not have left.
he might have run a few more
run it back.
years. Yeah.
Their problem was control. Like they
Control.
They can't control.
Well, that's what I was saying. I think that there's, at some level, once you take money from an organization, that should be you got to stay there at least 2 years. You can't come in 1 year,
No.
transfer the next year, transfer the next year.
Well, the crazy thing is there is no recourse for the collectives.
Right.
I give you money
Yep.
to come play safety at Big State U. Let's say I give you $1.5 million. You show up, you're ready to go, get you your number, put it on Instagram, we're ready to go. Brock over here calls you and says, actually, you know what? I got $1.8 million. You want to come? Yeah, I think I do. That's more. Warmer climate down in the South. Let's go. I'm going to go there.
Tax-free?
Now you got my 1.5 and his 1.8, and I can't get my money back.
Yeah, that's crazy.
gone.
That's nuts.
That's the problem.
Yeah,
That's the problem.
that is a problem.
Yeah, that's the problem in the sport. So and yet it is the second most popular sport in this country. It's not close.
No.
It is one of two that are either holding its audience or ascending in audience, other than Caitlin Clark WNBA games.
It's still the differences, and the reason why I think people would probably prefer ultimately someday the NFL model, other than the fans of the particular schools that I'm going to highlight here, is this year in the NFL, we probably can say definitively that there's 15 to 20% of the league that is not going to win the Super Bowl. Definitively. Like, no chance.
Yeah, I maybe go a little hot. How many did you say, 15 or 20 teams? Or
20%.
I understand the point you're making. I would probably think a little higher, but
Okay, fine.
but
at
it's in the
least
vicinity of that. Yeah.
At least 50 to 60% of the teams truly could, if certain things go their way, win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, for sure, half.
College football, it is 5% of the teams
It's not even that.
can win the title.
No, because you're over 100 teams, and there's probably, and now with a 12-team playoff, it's going to be even more about depth of talent. I mean, I think there's like 4 teams that could win a national
I said
title.
5. Yeah.
Maybe
Yeah.
5. Like, so not even a
That's what I
percentage.
mean.
It's like 1%.
Yeah.
Not even 1% of the teams can win it.
That's
They thought a playoff would give all the little guy a bite at the apple. And all it's going to do is reward the top even more, because what it's going to do is it's going to allow a team like Ohio State or Georgia or Alabama or Michigan or Penn State, Oregon, any of those teams, you can lose twice.
Yeah.
You could lose 3 times.
And you're just in the
And you're
dance.
good. And
Yeah.
now I'm in the dance and I got all my talent.
Yeah.
So, like,
Right.
look at last year, Georgia. No one would argue that if maybe some few people Georgia was the best team in the country last year.
Yeah.
They got beat by Alabama. They puckered up in the fourth quarter, and Bama beat them. But they were undefeated. They were the most talented team in the country. They were the best team in the country. They didn't even get no invite.
And they should.
Georgia would now.
But if they lost to them 3 weeks earlier, they probably
would have.
Yes.
Had Georgia been in this year's playoff, they would have been the 5 seed.
Yeah.
The 5 seed in the playoff. Do you think anyone would want to play Georgia in
No.
a quarterfinal?
I know that nobody did want to play Georgia,
No.
as a matter of fact. And I remember
No.
that was the big fear for Michigan, right, is that they were going to be the 1 and then end up having to play
Georgia
Georgia.
would be the 4.
Yeah.
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 No, but they got Bama instead because Bama beat them head-to-head, but everybody knew Georgia was better than Bama a year ago. So that type of stuff is where it's going to be – I think the top of the sport, the rich, is just going to get – it's just going to stack.
Yep.
It's going to stack and stack and stack money on top of money. So that's
what I mean. Yeah.
Have you seen about this?
Which part?
The group of 5 commissioners exploring
Yeah.
the postseason invitational tournament for teams who don't make the college
So
football
what?
playoff.
There's
the
no
NIT of
leadership.
college football.
Here's the problem. And these are your guys, right? This is what this group of teams, the MAC, Mountain West, AAC, Conference USA, Sun Belt, those teams should play for their own championship.
Yes.
They should have their own 16
Should be
team
the
playoff,
mid-major championship.
right? Because you have an FCS championship, used to be 1AA.
Yeah.
That's really well attended. I mean, Montana State, Montana, there are 30,000 people at their games. People are jacked up for it because they're playing for something. Little injury here on the
Yeah,
far.
Pierre Strong
Pierre Strong.
holding his ribs his midsection, it appears, as he makes his way in. You hate to see that. And they've just been doing just running through this
Yeah.
contraption here. Which, by the way, I've tried to make my way through that once. Didn't get far, and will never do it again.
It's all about that lower the pads.
Yep.
Is the key to it. Then you kind of bounce off the pads.
Here's the
You go into that straight up, you're going to fall. But
the-
like if BG could play for a national title, there's value to that.
so
And
I
host
do
a
think
playoff game.
I think you have this national championship 100%, but if one of these teams somehow makes it and gets to go up,
look.
well, one of them has to because the
Go
highest
up.
ranked group of 5 gets into the playoff.
So I would
if
have
That's
you're-
in the
if-
rules.
If you're undefeated
Yeah,
or you're
yeah.
a one-loss team and you've beaten someone or a couple someones in your non-conference, you should be in.
Well, they will. So the highest ranked
Yeah.
group of 5 is in the playoff.
the problem with that is though, is
there
that
won't be 2.
then you
There'll
can't,
be 1.
Then you can't
Fine.
have this be a national championship because the best team's not in it.
Then I would rather, if I were them, and
I'd rather play this.
I'd rather do this.
So just stay out of
than be
it.
a sacrificial lamb.
Right.
Like, what good's it really do? Who won the MAC last year? Was it Toledo or
The question becomes
Kent
how much
State?
do
I
they
can't
get?
remember who won.
How much do they get paid
I don't know. I think
to
I
be in the
blocked it out.
playoff game versus how much would they get paid to do this?
they'd get paid a lot more to do the other one? But there is money in this.
Yeah.
There's money in a playoff.
And
You're
there's
playing
money
it out
for
on the
you
field.
every year.
Every year.
as opposed
Yeah,
to one
there's
year.
definitely. It won't be as much as the playoff share would be, but it would be some. But take whoever won the MAC last year. What do they get from, like, having to travel? Like, last year, they would have been the team that had to play Georgia.
Yep.
Can you imagine?
Nothing. They get nothing.
Can you
from that.
imagine? End of the year, you're all beaten and battered, and hey, go to Athens and go play Georgia.
Yeah. By the way, if we are
Jordan played in that. You know what that's like. It's not fun, man.
no, it's just a beating.
It's a payday.
Right. I remember
That's
Billy Joel,
exactly what
legendary
it is.
coach of Florida A&M. They played Miami in 01 when Miami was Miami. And Billy Joe played for the Jets when they won the Super Bowl. He played for the Bills. Like, he was a man's man. And he came out after it, and I said, Coach, the check cash? And he started laughing. He goes, yeah, it did. I don't know how we're going to play next week, but the check cashed. And that's it. That's
Listen,
the business.
But you have to think in your mind there are always those Cinderella stories. I mean, I beat Jeff Jarrett in Tottenham City.
It would
I
take
can't
that type
believe-
of an arrangement.
I can't believe that just
It would
came
take
out
the
of your
type
pie
that
hole.
type of arrangement for it to happen.
Jordan
Take that type of an arrangement.
Now I know we've been around each other way
This is
too
how
long.
it's going to go.
4 weeks.
There you go. Yeah.
4 long
Every once in a while,
we were
Cinderella
roomies,
beckons.
dude.
We
We were
were.
roomies.
Cinderella
We
beckons
were.
from time to time. All right, we'll take a quick timeout. Second hour of the program coming up next.
That's the first hour?
That's right. I feel like we've
We,
given them a
we
lot.
took- hey, we took one
Huge
break.
bees.
Good news,
Huge.
Brock. We
Huge
don't need to
bees.
find another segment.
Yeah, we're
We've
good.
got to
No.
put
You're
40
safe.
minutes of
Yeah.
spot.
Yes.
Huge
Safe.
bees.
Enjoy that, kids, on the podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We'll continue to paint the pictures here from Berea. Just about ready to get rolling over here with some real work. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. have in common. Both are better when enjoyed with others. So do yourself a favor. Grab a bottle. Gather with your pals and enjoy the game, because with Jim Beam, you become his fans and you leave his family. Kentucky Straight Bourbon Whiskey, 40% alcohol by volume. Copyright 2024, James B. Beam Distilling Company, Claremont, Kentucky. Drink smart. And now, here is Za'Darius Smith. Let's have a listen.
You got back in
You're down.
the second,
7 minutes.
back to normal.
Yes, sir, most definitely. It took me a week. Only had a knee contusion, so happy to be back with the team for sure.
What happened on that play? Did you bump knees with somebody?
Yeah, actually, it was a full slide and the back had to come block me, but I was going full speed and we bumped knees. Yep, for sure.
You worried it was more serious? You looked like you were in a lot of pain down there.
Yeah, at the moment, I was in a lot of pain, but so many thoughts was going through my mind, but I'm just glad it was just a knee contusion, man, and I'm happy to be back for sure.
Do you expect to play Saturday?
Yeah, I think everybody's playing Saturday. They haven't said much more about it, but hopefully I get a chance to get out there. It's been a week, like I said, haven't been on the field, but hopefully I can get out there and get some reps for sure.
Have you really turned your attention to the Cowboys yourself so far, and are you really studying and looking at that yet or anything like that?
Yeah, I have been. I actually went back to the last game they played, and I think it was the playoff against Green Bay. I hate watching that, but still watching them, man. It's a great football team, man, and hopefully we can find what they're best at doing, man, and just, wreck Harvard in that game on September the 8th.
Just curious, what are you seeing from Ja'Wan Briggs so far in the offseason yet?
Great guy, man. Student of the game. He know how to sing, too, if you guys didn't know. If you ever come up here, ask him to sing a song. But great guy, man. Quiet, those are the guys you want to be scared of when they're always quiet. But, man, great guy, great rookie, man, to come in, man, and do everything we asked him to do, man. I just like it. And he just want to get better each and every day. Stay after practice, be one of the guys that's first one in the building. So that's good, man. And hopefully that just carry on throughout his career.
You've been doing this for a long time. Do the preseason reps matter to you at all?
For sure, most definitely. It's getting me ready for the regular season. Like I said, I'm going into year 10, so I haven't had practice in 2 weeks. So for me to go out there and hopefully get some reps this Saturday will be big for me and for our football team.
So you feel like you just need one game of reps at this point in your career?
No, I ain't gonna say that. No. We need practice too, man. Practice make perfect. If you don't use it, you'll lose it. I think my coach from college always taught me that, man, to make sure you're involved, even if you're on the sideline, to still act like you're, mentally in the game. So for me, yeah, for sure to get reps, most definitely.
For you guys, is it, especially for the edge rushers, is it important because you can finally maybe sack the quarterback?
Yeah, for sure. It's been a while since we've been able to sack the quarterback, but at practice we can only get so close to him. So to get some real live reps would be good for the defense and the whole team.
I don't get faced him in your career, whether it's you, but Dante Foreman, what do you see with him as a running back?
Great running back, man. Loves the cut, man. If he find that open hole, man, he'll for sure be able to hit that gap. So we just got to play our gaps, man, and be fundamentally sound, man, when we're going up against a guy like that.
Last week, having that joint practice with your former team, the Vikings,
Yeah.
saw there was some banter going on. You even hit him with the too small at one point.
Yeah.
How fun was that going against them, and how much do you embellish on it?
It was kind of hard because I couldn't be out there the first day. I know the first day was the toughest day, you know what I'm saying, going against some ones versus ones. But for me, it felt good to just see those guys again. Things didn't work out, and obviously that's why I got traded here. But, man, I'm happy where I'm at, man. My time with the Vikings was great. I enjoyed it. It was a part of the Skol chant that I really liked from them, man. But happy to see them last week, man. But, we got to move on and get ready for this game this weekend.
See, it seemed like watching the D-line throughout those practices, that multiple guys were just getting pressure. I mean, what did you see when you were on the side and things like that? Were you seeing what you guys want to in terms of, you can't obviously sack anybody,
for sure,
you're getting there?
Like I said, it's still practice. It wasn't game reality, but, we still have a long way to go as a D-line. But I feel like the guys did a great job. They was getting after him. I think we had the first day like 6 sacks from our defensive line, but, obviously we can't touch the quarterback. So we're being realistic. We got close to the quarterback. But it's big, man, and hopefully we have a big year this year. I know Coach always talk about how the Eagles had 5 guys with double-digit sacks in one season 2 years ago. So hopefully we can get to that and be a dominant defensive line.
Is this the deepest, most dominant group you've ever been a part of?
For sure, most definitely. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
To your point about the preseason reps, it seems like starters are playing less and less in the preseason. How do you think that affects the first few weeks of the regular season? Does it carry over a little bit?
No, I wouldn't say that. Like I said, this is obviously my first time going out there because of, being injured. But a lot of guys will hopefully get a chance to play this weekend, and I wouldn't say that it'll be rust. You know what I'm saying? It's just, hopefully, just keeping guys away from injuries. We all know how that's been going on this preseason, but hopefully, man, we'll just pray and stay prayed up and nobody get injured and we can go out there and have a ball this weekend.
Do you guys feel like you really gave Deshaun the business when it was ones against ones in this camp to help him get ready for the season?
For sure. I think so. I know that's something Coach harp on to get him a lot of different looks because, like you said, last year we was the #1 defense. And for us to go practice against him each and every day, hopefully, can only make him better, for sure.
Coach Schwartz has been saying that last year you guys were throwing your fastball and your main pitch.
Yeah.
How's the off-speed stuff coming on?
It's coming great. Coach like drawing up plays for everybody, to put them in a position to be dominant. They want to know what we're best at doing. And Coach Schwartz is one of those guys that'll put you in that situation to help you be dominant throughout a football game.
It almost looks like Miles has, I don't even know if this is possible, but it almost looks like he's elevated his game.
For sure.
Even more, and he's just ready to Your thoughts on that?
Yeah, we all know Miles, man. Miles is a great athlete, man. One of a kind. I think it was last week where Christian Darrisaw said something about him after the first rep. It was like, man, his being is incredible. So I'm guessing his hips, the way he get off the ball and just corner the pocket, man, is just one of a kind, man. So yeah, for sure, he's getting better each and every week.
What else can he have?
Mouse?
Yeah.
Everything. That's a de-coordinated question, but for sure, man, he's a great leader. I think we had a leadership meeting yesterday, and they talked about how he opened up to his teammates and some of the things that he do. Obviously, he didn't practice as much in the beginning, but, he was there for the young guys to talk to them, and guys that's a 3s or 4s, defensive end, asking questions, and he's basically there for them answering it. So I say, yeah, for sure, the leadership it's been going good this year for Miles. Yep.
All right, there you go. Za'Darius Smith at the podium. Easy to love that guy. We've had some good work over here on the far field.
Yeah, you started off with little one-on-ones and ones-on-ones, and Deshaun made a lot of nice throws to Elijah Moore and especially to Jerry Jeudy, and then that's kind of continued. Now they're doing just some scout team offense, scout team defense, and the highlight of that was Jameis working with some of the starters throwing a bomb to Jerry Jeudy. Jerry Jeudy has not practiced a ton, but there has not been a day that Jerry Jeudy has practiced that you have not noticed him making plays.
I want you to follow me on this.
Lead, brother.
If Jerry Jeudy
yes
did not have the start to his pro career that he had,
yes,
with injuries and just all of it, like if you didn't know anything, like if he was just a rookie who paratrooped down here, you would say, oh my God, we got a dude.
Yes.
Like if you don't have his Denver career, if he's just Jerry Jeudy out of Alabama and he's out here doing what he's doing and what he's done when he's healthy, you would say we just landed a #1 receiver.
Absolutely.
That's what he looks like.
Absolutely.
That's the separation he gets. That's the breakaway he gets when he does beat somebody deep. No one can cover him man-to-man.
No.
Nobody. I mean, no one has proven to be able to do it. So the only reason that I'm not more effusive in my praise of him is just – I just need to have, I don't want to mislead, but I'm telling you folks, what you see out here from him is #1 dude, elite guy. That's what it looks like.
0.2 yards.
Yeah.
Times 150 targets. If somebody averaged 0.2 yards per target difference than somebody else, over 150 targets, that's 30 yards difference.
Okay.
Amari Cooper's career yards per target is 8.8.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy's is 8.6.
Yeah.
Jerry Jeudy's just never been featured.
He's never been, no.
And Amari Cooper has 7 1,000-yard seasons.
Yeah. 5
Pro Bowls.
Yep.
Jerry Jeudy just hasn't been featured from a volume standpoint in that way. But if
he hasn't had great quarterback play, there's been a lot of factors. But like just watching him out here, oh boy, beautiful
DTR
from Jamari.
That's DTR to Jamari Thrash.
Yeah,
That's against the starters. That's scout team against the starting defense there. And DTR's throwing the ball so well.
Yes, he is. He looks very nice. He's very good. But I think the Judy thing is, I mean, that's the only reason that you're any bit hesitant is just that, you know, he hasn't had one of those, but there's a lot of factors that lead to it. He certainly has it in him.
He's averaged 14 and a half yards a catch for his career.
Right.
8.6 yards a target.
But don't you agree with me that if he were plopped down here straight out of Alabama looking like this, without the pro career, that's all anyone would be talking about.
I would say if this is a guy who gets, you know, 120 targets in a season, which is, or call it 125, that we're looking at a 1,000-yard receiver. And by the way, at his career yards per target, if he got 125 targets in a season, he would go. That's 1,075 yards.
Dude, DTR just, I mean, that was awesome. Stepped up in the pocket, evaded the rush, threw an absolute laser.
Yeah.
The jersey's tucked, so I can't see who caught it. A laser into traffic down the right side against the one defense.
DTR's real.
JOK was out there. MJ was out there. That was the one defense.
DTR is a guy that
he's ready. He looked good, man.
I certainly think that he is capable. He is capable of starting in this league.
Well, he's done that, and he's won, and he did it with really not really a true preparation to be able to do it. So now you give him a chance to prepare? Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely he's got that in him. Get some good stuff here with some 11-on-11 work. Huntley now in at quarterback, operating the 2 defense.
I think he's operating the 3 offense against the 2 defense.
Yeah, 2s versus 3s over there.
I mean, that'll be a question, you know, who's playing? You know, are all 4 playing? Is Winston out?
Yeah.
Is
he watching? You know, the weather forecast.
I don't know that we're going to get. I mean, my guess is that you would get Deshaun work, then you would get Winston work, and then probably DTR work.
I don't know. Are you trying to
now,
showcase
if you're
like
trying
a
to
guy
showcase
like
Huntley, then maybe you don't even play DTR in this one. Although I think you want to get him reps because he's as a young ascending player, you want to see him get work. So you probably play all of them, but some cases the showcasing, you know, I mean, Huntley had 2 picks last week, so sometimes the showcasing doesn't go.
Where would
the
I'm
way
just
you
also
want.
trying to think like where's the Huntley market?
I don't think there is.
Right now nobody needs a backup.
No, and I think anybody who knew. Or anybody who wanted a backup, let's say, who says, you know what, we went with these guys, we're not happy with it. I think that there is a pretty good sense that, you know, first of all, he'd be a free agent if you cut him.
Yeah.
That you would be able to get, you know, you don't need to necessarily trade for him, trade anything.
No, just wait it out.
Now, if he came in, and you look at the Browns roster and you say, okay, you know that Deshaun and Jameis are going to be here, and you understand that it makes by far the most sense, and he's been the better of the 2 quarterbacks, by the way, that DTR is here because he has a chance in 25 and 26 to be your backup on a rookie 5th-round contract.
Yes.
Which is very beneficial to everything else you're trying to do as a squad.
Yeah, for sure. All right, let's take a quick timeout. Continue to paint the pictures for you out here. Final day of training camp at the Cross Country Mortgage Campus. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Attention Browns fans, Cleveland Browns team quicker, and you can make it that way on game day with Express Access presented by Verizon. Also new this year, select concession stands will offer Express Access presented by Bud Light. Enroll for free today. Go to Tickets tab in the Browns mobile app to learn more on that. Zach Jackson with The Athletic with this reporting that Pierre Strong was placed in an ambulance adjacent to the practice field. He also says that the ambulance pulled away and that he will update later on that. We saw Pierre walk off what looked to be like holding like a rib.
Yes.
And so now we have this update on that as well. So first and foremost, hopefully that is for precaution and nothing more. And then beyond that, from a team standpoint, how many running backs do we have?
3. And that's Jerome Ford, Deontay Foreman, and Aiden Robbins. And going into this game, I mean, obviously you'd expect Ford to get a little bit of work with the ones, Foreman probably get a little work with the ones, but then you would want to be able to get, Pierre in there before you turn it over to Aiden Robbins. Now, the situation you do not want to get into is that, let's say, Aiden Robbins ends up getting hurt in the game, and then you have to put back one of your starters in that you did not expect to have to play. And so that makes me think that the Browns, if Pierre Strong, and obviously we hope that this is precautionary and he ends up being okay, but he did seem to be in definitely a little bit of discomfort. My question at that point would be, do we have to sign another quarterback? And so, by the way, lots being made already on social media about the fact that Jameis was working with the scout team in preparation, it looked like, for this weekend's game against Seattle with the starters. But as we're watching the quarterbacks go through their drills right now, Deshaun's throwing the towel as opposed to a football. So this could have been part of his regularly scheduled maintenance as they get ready for the start of the season. Because if he were throwing here normal, and by the way, he threw in the one-on-ones at the beginning and threw the ball very well. If he were throwing the ball here, that would maybe lead me to believe more that we were getting a glimpse into the plans for Saturday. This makes me feel less like we were getting a glimpse into the plans for Saturday and more that we were getting a glimpse into the plans really just for Deshaun.
Okay, so explain that to me, because when I saw him, so what they have in front of us, they have a series of bags, tackling bags, dummies.
Yep.
They have 2 nets with targets on each side of the field.
Yep.
The quarterbacks are having to weave in and out of these dummies and then throw to a net and try to hit a basket. They have to declare which basket they're going to hit before they throw it. So that's kind of what's going on. Every quarterback is with a ball except for Watson, who's with a towel.
Yep.
So when I saw that, buddy, I thought opposite. So your educated eye would lead you to – so when I saw him with the towel, I thought, well, he ain't playing Saturday. Like, something's wrong with his shoulder. He's not playing. Like,
I don't think anything's wrong with his shoulder.
So explain why my thinking would be wrong on that.
By the way, it may ultimately be correct. When seeing him do this, there's nothing wrong with his shoulder. This makes me think that this was how today's was scheduled for him. That he was
like
going to do the first session.
I see.
He was going to do the first session, and that because they've been throwing a bunch lately, that he was going to do the first. They haven't had really a day off since Sunday. I guess it's only Wednesday, but this feels to me like more of a schedule in what he is doing, as opposed to reading into what was happening earlier. Because as you see him go through everything, he looks fine. And they've done this at times throughout.
Okay, so that's where your intellectual
camp.
knowledge of how this goes would get you to that answer.
Yeah. Oh man, I thought that was coming to us right there.
It's head on a swivel, kids. That one almost airmailed.
Yeah,
for,
if he
young
were
Mr.
throwing
Winston.
in this drill and then had not participated in the scout team stuff, throwing, I would say that's probably a sign that Jameis is going to start. But because he's doing this here, that makes me think that he had his plan for today was to get to work in the original 1-versus-1 good-on-good period, which he did, and as I said, threw the ball very well, and that was going to be the end of his throwing today.
I got you. DTR smooth operator.
Oh man,
he is. I like him.
I do too.
Yeah. This what we did get some scout team work though over there on that far field, and you saw some pennies by some of the players representing Seattle. So there is a little bit of game plan for this, but of course much of it is now on to Dallas.
It's on to Dallas. Yeah,
it's on to Dallas.
By the
way,
way,
did a little work. You're dealing with what I would describe as a very stubborn, borderline aggressive Yellow Jacket.
It's a Georgia Tech Yellow Jacket.
It's a Yellow Jacket.
he's persistent in his.
Well,
there's
a
food
sweetness.
right here on the table.
There's some sort of sweetness in what did you consume? What was your concoction today?
Today we
5,000 calories.
Today we had a little.
Burn it off by the time 3 o'clock.
I threw the apple out though, because I thought that was what would attract
I think
him.
you had a barbecue or a
there was
barbacoa or some sort.
There was
of
there was some smoked chicken, some smoked pork, but there was also then a
little bit of sweet in there somewhere.
Indian butter chicken over some basmati rice with some cauliflower.
Yeah, that butter chicken, that's going to do it for you. That's what's bringing.
All right, well, I'm going to get as soon as we go to break. I'm getting this out of here.
That's going to get that done.
I'm getting it out.
Yeah. So there you go. All right, so individual stuff happening out here at the moment. We do have some breaking news in the NFL at the quarterback position. Another new starter is named. We will give you those details and continue to paint pictures out here at the Cross Country Mortgage campus when we return. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Boost your game day this season with Ballybet Sportsbook app. Place your bet of $50 or more, and you get $150 back in bonus bets. Ballybet, official sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns.
Okay, great.
Yeah, I'm not
hey,
sure.
how about you let me know so I can pot the mic down so he's not throwing things around.
Tracking down.
I mean, he's got to sign autographs. There's plenty of people looking for photos and pictures.
Yeah.
People recognize him.
This is the key to it, though.
I mean, people definitely
we're trying to
recognize him.
peacock down there, and we got You got the bags in the way. I can't tell what's going on down there, Dr. Z.
Oh, yeah.
How about turn my mic on?
There we go. Go ahead. Go ahead. Explain.
You would like today to be your last day on Earth. Listen, TG.
Okay, hold on a second.
I don't think we can do any of that.
Just for the record.
Wait a second. What happened to Frayne?
Tommy John.
What?
What?
Yeah.
When did that happen?
He just had it done. Waited till after golf season. He's good to go. And it didn't happen at any one time. It was an accumulation of his life's work.
Oh, okay.
And there he is. So what I was going to look at was they're doing more scout team. This is what I call like a scout team walkthrough.
Yeah.
And Deshaun is doing this with the starters, but it's kind of just a walkthrough and more pointing than throwing.
Okay.
So you never know there. Listen,
I think those expecting an announcement today are not going to get one.
By the way, you.
Oh God.
On the record today have threatened to. I don't even want to say how we get to the point that you threatened to bury Bo Bishop underneath the sand pit back there, and then you just threatened me that I may want this to be my last day on Earth. A lot of aggression, a lot of hostility.
4 weeks.
Bo wasn't even there for 4 weeks. You were ready to. It was 5 seconds into the show, and you were ready to put him under the sand pit.
He poked a bear, and he knew he poked a bear.
Yeah.
Well, I just like to point out your vacations that you build into the seasons.
Boy.
That's all that is. Hey, we have some breaking news. The Denver Broncos have named Bo Nix the starting quarterback. The rookie, the 12th pick overall in the NFL draft, will start for Denver. So the only rookie quarterback that is not starting from day one as of right now, and it still could be that way, is Drake May in New England. The rest of them who are first-rounders, well, Penix too. I guess Penix too. That's kind of
maybe.
I forget sometimes.
They don't need to see him. By the way, Raheem Morris has been getting killed for this, and they keep asking questions. He's like, listen, if I needed to see more, I'd see more. I don't need to see any more. And they're like,
so
yeah, but what's the point of
leads
that?
me to believe that they don't want him getting hurt for fear that down the road something, or my next thought would be that they're protecting him. But he looked pretty good in the preseason game.
He was fine. It's not like he went out there and lit it up where you're like, oh, my God, this guy is.
No, but he made some nice throws. He's got a great release. Throws a good ball.
Come on. It's just like a lefty jump shooter. It's just prettier.
See, I think the opposite. I think that's why Tua was held to a different standard because it looked clunky.
I think he looks clunky, but Mike Vick, when you have a lefty who's just flicking their wrists like Vick and Penix, it's a thing of beauty.
Like Young,
yeah,
just flicks it.
Gross.
That's it.
No, he was in the Tua category.
You had to own a Young jersey.
Never.
Never?
100% never. Wow. That was even in my high school. I was like,
nah, I'm not doing it.
Then he did the monkey off my back thing. Like, have a little class.
Little class. Settle down.
A little decorum.
Little bit of decorum. All right, so doing a little.
So this is all walkthrough. This is all starters, and this is all Deshaun Watson. So my guess is this was just simply his protocol for today.
All right, I got something else that I want to run by you.
Run it by me.
I had a. You are certainly familiar with what? Do I need to stand? What do
No,
I
you
need to
don't
stand
have
for?
to. I'm standing.
Okay. All right. You're certainly familiar with the former San Francisco 49er, Baltimore Raven, and Arizona Cardinal Anquan Bolden.
Of course.
This is a name you're familiar with.
You're familiar with him as well.
I am.
We're
Yeah.
homies.
Yeah. Well, knew him. When he was at Florida State, going into his junior year at Florida State, up until that point, he always had braids in his hair, right? So going into his junior year, he came in like high and tight.
Okay.
And I said, Quan, what happened, dude? What happened with the locks, man? He goes, business decision. I said, huh? I said, what? He goes, well, someone thought that the NFL would view me in a better light if I was high and tight. And this, you got to remember, this is 20-some years ago.
Sure.
Where this was a big point of conversation. I mean, this was Allen Iverson. This is when the NBA put in dress codes. You remember this? When the NBA was like, you can't wear jerseys anymore. You got to wear suits, all of that. So this was at that time. So he did this, and that was a part of it. So then fast forward 20 years or so, and Quinn Ewers, the quarterback at Texas, who's a junior, who's got an absolute cannon, he cut his mullet and shaved going into last season because Sarkisian was like, the mullet is distracting people from how good you are. Look like a quarterback, and people will view you as a quarterback.
Yep.
So I say all of this to say this. I was watching a video of Gardner Minshew warming up and training this offseason on NFL.com, put it out. And he's got a mullet halfway down his back. He's got a mustache, and he's working out in jean shorts. Okay? So that's who he is. He's very comfortable in it. Okay?
Yep.
I've seen this.
You've seen this too.
I love every minute of this.
Yeah.
I do think that
Okay.
given his
so you know what?
stats- yes.
Considering my setup,
Yes.
you know where I'm going with
Yes,
this.
I do think it plays a role in it. People think he's maybe not as serious
what I
as
think.
he needs to be.
That's what I think too. I think that he is because he's like a 58 to 24 touchdown to interception.
Oh, and his completion percentage is high.
Yeah.
But he's bound. This will be his 4th team in 4 years.
He has quarterbacked in his rookie year. He quarterbacked Jacksonville to 6-6.
Yep.
He quarterbacked Indy last year to 7-6. He's got the second year in Jacksonville. He went 1-6 in the starter, and that's where the record gets disproportionate. But other than that, he's been a winner. Deep ball there, complete, ran right by.
That was a sack, but yes.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
This is just scout team stuff. I think they were stopping, but Amari and Brown with a nice vertical ball. He's a guy I think will end up on the Browns practice squad.
Yeah. But I do.
Yes.
When I'm looking at this thing with Minshew and the jean shorts and the crazy mullet and the mustache and the leaning into it, I'm like, I don't know if anybody can take you seriously when
Right.
you do that. And maybe you don't get a good enough shake because people think of you as like a sideshow.
I think that's right. And listen, I'll go back to last year. Gardner Minshew.
Well, now you're
was,
sitting.
Was a dropped. I'm just thinking for a second. Was Gardner Minshew was a dropped pass by a running back
Yeah, you're right.
away from winning that division and leading the Indianapolis Colts to the playoffs.
I'm going to tell you something.
That's a breathtaking.
When
landscape.
whatever's going to happen here at the CCMC, let's take the garbage
elsewhere
or us elsewhere.
Maybe.
Like, can we get let's get so that we're not right in it. Because what's happened is this is now on the reg where you get a wafting.
A waft?
That comes through and
So the Minshew workout
burns the nostrils.
By the way, you only use wafting in a positive light rarely.
Yeah.
Have you seen the one I watched, the montage of him working out, did not have the Rocky IV music. It did not have a motivational music.
Yeah.
It had Creed.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
Okay,
Higher. It was
yeah.
Higher by Creed was playing.
Yes.
And he's got the long mullet and the mustache.
It was
and the
in a
shorts. He's in
heartbeat.
jean
I
shorts.
love everything about it.
Yeah. Yeah, but I think he's
I
not
won't love it
taking-
if I'm that team.
63% completions, 10,000 yards, 7 yards an attempt, 59 touchdowns, 24 picks.
Really pretty good.
Quarterback rating for his career of 90.2. I mean, it's wild to me. And I was wrong. He had 2 years in Philly. So 2 years in Jacks, 2 years in Philly, Indy. So this will be his 3rd team in 3 years, 4th team of his career already.
Yeah. Yeah.
RJ's walking with a purpose.
He is. I think he's going to knock some heads together.
Perfect.
I think he's.
I'm in.
I think
for
he's
all of
getting
this.
the misidentifiers out of here. That's what I think. That was an ejectable offense.
The stride. I don't know that I've ever seen him walk. Take a look around over there, Gibby, and see
Got it.
what's
On
happening.
it.
Give me a play-by-play. It feels like he's we're doing an evacuation. It looks like maybe. We got a couple of guys coming around. Brock doing some work.
Yeah.
Do we have an evacuation, Gibby? Gibby kind of checking things out. No, nothing yet. More are moving in that way, though. More of the Frayne men are moving in that way.
Yeah, I like that. The Frayne men.
Yeah.
It's Frayne and man.
I like all those guys.
Yeah, the Frayne men are a formidable group. It's really attracting the attention of
It's
a great many people.
on the other side. Yeah, there's a lot of people now paying attention to what's going on over there.
What's happening over there, Gibbe? You're
Gibby
a man
says
on
it's
the
on
scene.
the other side. It's on the other side.
Hey, Gibbe.
Yeah.
Have you watched Twisters?
Hey, is that good?
Yes, no.
Okay.
I have not yet.
This is the Glenn
because
Powell
Glenn Powell
operation.
Yeah. So it's entertaining.
That's all I ask.
That's all I ask.
There's the plot. There's really
Doesn't
no.
matter. Yeah.
But it's entertaining.
Look, I love the first one, and there were some things in the first one that just, from a physics standpoint, can't possibly happen.
Right.
By the way,
but
if
it's fun.
they can, if the premise of this movie, if they can do what the premise of the movie is about, then we would never have tornadoes again. But
All right, let me ask you this. Is it appropriate for children?
totally.
Okay.
I don't even think there's. I mean, it starts. You know, it's gonna be tough. There's gonna be some things that are tough that happen that you have to deal with some loss.
Well, that's okay. Like, it's all right. You can
mean,
have a little
that's-
loss from here to there.
Helen Hunt had to deal with loss in the first 5 minutes of the first one.
Well, basically, they're following the same formula then, because I don't remember the first one very well. But that is what you were describing is exactly the same.
Well, there we go.
And there you have it. All right, we will take a quick timeout and continue here.
Final
from the-
segment.
There you go.
Man.
So much more to come then. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Well, winding down here, final live radio broadcast at training camp. This is it. We've made it.
Yeah,
We're
baby.
done. We'll be inching closer from here on out. We have some scout team work going on the far field. They're pumping in a little bit of noise as well on that.
By
side
the
of
way, if
things.
they're trying to imitate what it's going to sound like in Seattle on Saturday, they're a little off.
Well, this might be it because it's a preseason game.
Yeah, you're not.
So you're not going to get the full-throated Seattle experience, I wouldn't think.
And yet, I don't know.
Looks like a little 7-on-7. Scout. And Jameis is throwing the football. Deshaun is not.
Yeah. There you go.
There
yeah.
it is.
We'll see. So Coach will talk after practice and get a little bit of feel on potentially, maybe.
I don't think you will, but you might.
I don't think you will.
I don't think
Probably
you're
not.
going to get an
Probably
update.
not.
No.
Probably not going to get an update on that. Yeah, no. Probably not. Be one of those things. We like a secret. You like it to stay that way till Friday, and then or whenever you fly. You guys are flying tomorrow?
Tomorrow.
Today's first Friday? Good
Today
Lord.
is first Friday.
Man, nuts. Time's
It is
flying.
nuts.
First day of school for the boys was today. Dropped them off.
Hey, how was the game yesterday?
Won. Beat Wadsworth.
How'd he do?
We're up 26-16. Did
Nice.
all right. Did all right. He ended up going from like a safety position to kind of a free-ranging linebacker, and it looked like he was thinking too much, I thought, a little bit. But kids played well, got a dub, and so that was good. It was good.
I saw your Facebook post about the boys with their pictures.
They hate it every year, and I'm like,
And
especially NBC is like, do not do it.
Your fantastic wife goes, I miss them already. I go, no, you don't.
No, she
No.
might.
No,
She
I don't.
might.
No, are we sure about that?
I like the one that was there. Have you seen the one that was on social media? It was first day of back to school pick, and it's all the kids in their backpacks looking all cute, and the mom is in the pool on a floaty drinking a beer.
I love it.
That's about right. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah, yeah.
We're
It's,
back, baby.
Yeah, it is. It's time to go. So they're operational here, and we'll be operational in Seattle. So you guys will be mostly we'll all be in the same room tomorrow for the show, and then you guys will
That's right.
bounce towards the end there,
Yeah.
and get it sorted out, and then we'll head to Seattle for the final. This has been fun in camp. I know that it's long, but it is fun to be able to
Yes.
describe this for you guys and paint
It's
the
great to
pictures
be
for
out
what we
here,
see.
yeah.
So it's a win in that sense. A win for you coming up next is the next level. We are back tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.